Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have KK Harris. He is a business coach, psychologist, executive coach, author, and as he says, ADHD is her superpower. We'll be talking about that. Welcome to the show, KK.
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for tuning in and listening. Nice to see you, Ajay, again.
You are welcome to the show, KK. You are welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we'll be talking about. We'll be talking about artificial intelligence and coaching. But first, to understand from you, KK, you are a business coach psychologist. Help us understand what exactly is that.
Well, it's where you study psychology and you focus in on a specialism. And so my specialism is coaching professionals in the business world and with the underpinning of psychology, psychoanalysis, like, the Freudian, the Jung, the Melanie Klein. So it goes a little bit deeper than just an executive coach, a lot deeper than just an executive coach.
Okay. So let us understand a bit of your journey. How did you get into this? And now, you are doing a lot of this, business coach, psychologist, executive coach, as well as an author. So help us understand a bit of your journey so that, the audience can understand who they are listening to, who is KK Harris as per herself.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, I came into the corporate space in a different direction than most people. When they go into executive coaching, they will have normally spent, 10, 20 years as a corporate professional themselves, but I didn't. I was actually a singer, songwriter for 20 something years, a different career, but I had a passion for learning all about the mind, psychoanalysis, and I had a big keen interest in that. And in 2009, closing in toward the end of my music career, I found my passion, and life changed and led me to studying psychoanalysis quite seriously. And then I found the world of coaching. I'd written a different book, and then I discovered that, my passion really was around that coaching too, and how I could combine that. And I'm not a very traditionalist person, and I don't believe that there is one way to break into the corporate world. I believe that drive, ambition, confidence, and belief in oneself, with the education behind you, that you can knock down some doors. So I started knocking down doors, and the doors opened for me about 10 years ago. And so that's how I got into it. And then I studied my master's right before COVID. And I thought I wanted to specialize in psychology and combine the coaching. So I did the master's during most of during COVID time. It was challenging, but it was worth every moment of it. And I've only worked for primarily coaching firms, so I've been able to work at volume. As you know, I've worked with about 14, close to 1,500 professionals. And I have to say, I'm so thankful that I've been able to work with these coaching firms, because it means that I've been able to really work and understand people and get deep with people. So it's been a really great experience. I'm very happy with what I do. I found my passion and my love.
Right. So you work with coaching firms.
Yes.
Where coaches come to learn, or is it general
No,
individuals?
let me clarify that. I work for a professional coaching firm where we coach professionals. So they're partners, like say like KPMG or big pharma companies like GSK. We work with them, and we work with their people to help them in their development through coaching. So that's what I do. So I work with quite the corporate people to help them
Right.
become better at
Right.
work.
What is it that they want to learn nowadays? These are professionals who have already certain degree of professional competence,
Hmm.
understanding, part of a process,
Hmm.
and they are, in a way, they may start to feel that they know most of the stuff that they need to know.
Right. Well, it's
What
not
is
so
it that?
much.
Right.
So, Ajay, it's not so much that they lack the competencies needed to do the job. It's usually there's some kind of blocks that's stopping them in their leadership from developing either even further ahead. Maybe they're also in line for potential leadership, and there's some areas that they need to develop. So we might, or I might, work with them on those areas. Maybe it's around politics and networking, how they feel about that, and then we can kind of break through the mindset about that, where it might be seen, they're seeing the politics at work as all negative, but it's like I'm helping them understand, let's release some of that and look at the positive about what they can do to help get, say, an initiative across the line. So it is about helping them break free of these things, and even limiting beliefs that could be holding them back for a long time and stopping them from being as successful as they want to be.
Right, right. So, what are the questions that they generally have? How do you, or even if they don't have, how do you actually prepare for such a thing? You have extensive, understanding of
Mm,
human mind. As
yes.
you said, you have worked with prison inmates, murderers, even, and and so I want to understand both sides of the spectrum. From that understanding to shift to this corporate understanding,
Yes.
where people have to achieve something for themselves
Mm,
within the constraints of a system which
yes.
is throwing those challenges. So I want to understand your mind. It's a tricky thing to do. How do you manage this, and how do you personally prepare for this, and how do you answer those questions those people want to get answered within the system? Otherwise, a lot of people may just quit the system and be
Mm.
part of the great resignation and everything else possible.
Right. Just for your audience, yes, I've worked in 4 different prisons across London. I'm based primarily in the UK. Right now, I'm in the US. Um, but I work with prisoners, and yes, I've worked with men who were doing time for murder and spent most of their time in prison. But maybe before that, they had children. So I was able to. I say that there is a certain gift one must have in order to work with such diverse types of people. And I think maybe my divine creator gave me that mission to be able to help soften them. I can't explain it, but I think it's something beyond me. But what I do is I'm able to connect in a way that there is trust that's built. That went even in prisons into the corporate. It's you have to create a level of psychological safety in order to get below what's happening, what's really happening. If someone commits murder, they're doing their time, they're doing their time. But these men had children. And I thought if we could get through this program and you can understand that you could potentially protect them from, going down the same path or make them aware, that was what was important. And I had to sit my preconceived notions aside, and I do that in the corporate space as well. I'm not going to judge someone because they lack confidence, because I could see they're blocking themselves from moving forward. I'm not going to judge them. My role is to be there to facilitate their growth in a way that it's a trust thing. It's a trust. And I've been fortunate enough to create that quite quickly in my sessions, and it's made me very successful as a result.
Right, right. So,
And when I
what
say
are
success, Ajay, I'm not talking about, oh my God. What I'm talking about is the success, is the breakthroughs that people have when we work together. We co-create, we work together.
Absolutely. So, what are the questions that they generally come in with? So that we know their mind and the problems that they want to get solved.
So what are the general questions?
Yes, yes.
Um, the general questions is how do I stand up? How do I speak up? I'm an introvert. How do I get noticed? How do I get promoted? How do I it's not those simple questions really, Ajay. It's a lot deeper. Those questions come about over time, but what really is presenting is there's something that they're doing or something that's happening that's holding them back. And after, with through investigation, they quickly start to tell me, maybe, maybe there's some bad players in the business, and they just need to understand how to maneuver in there. Sometimes there's narcissists that they're dealing with who's stealing all their credit, manipulating them, gaslighting them, making them feel, like they're less than. There's a lot that goes on in the corporate space, and people need to be heard and listened to and have strategy to get through it. And that's what I do.
Right. Has anyone ever come and said that others are not the problem, perhaps they are the problem, and they want that to be, resolved through your coaching?
They themselves are the problem?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely, but not often. It's usually everyone else is the problem. It's never they're the problem, but I can see they're the problem. It's like, so I have to be very crafty in how I kind of help them to turn the mirror around and say, could it be? What are you doing? I ask lots of questions. What's happening? So when you say that, what can you tell me your facial expression, or what's the tone of voice? You just said it like that. Is that how you said it? It's like putting the mirror in their face in a way where it's tolerable for that person to look at themselves. And I haven't lost anyone yet. They've been okay. We've gotten through it. Even the toughest people, I've been able to help, and it's been wonderful.
Absolutely. Now you talk about, about your coaching, that you receive a kind of download, which
Yes.
is, because of your spiritual willingness to let go of your ego. So you get it, you get the download. But then
Mm,
how do you upload that into your coaching sessions, into the minds of people who
mm.
are having those problems, and perhaps they would not let go of their ego so easily? I want to understand this aspect. How do you get these downloads, and how do you upload these into the minds of your clients?
That's a very good question, and I'll say this: I get the download um, because I believe that when you are in a caring profession, when you're in a helping profession, it should never be about yourself. So before I enter a space, I don't do this big prayer, but it's like a meditative, just saying, okay, whatever I'm supposed to receive, I receive that. And so then when I'm with that person, I think I've allowed myself to let go of the ego in that space. Because even in my studies, we learned about transference, countertransference. So we have to be very open. We have to be very present, And so then the download seems to come as that person starts to talk to me. And so many times, and particularly with women, within moments, someone starts crying and they'll say, I don't know why I'm crying. I'm like, it's okay. You're safe. And then it's like as if I'm being shown without words what they're really going through. And it's very interesting. Sometimes it feels very, very powerful. And it's like, whoa, okay, whatever this is, I'm feeling this, and I'll say something, and then they'll say, that's exactly it. And so I'll know. And so I think that's where I'm then uploading that you're being seen. I hear you, I feel you, you're being seen. And I might even use that word, I see you, and then what can we do together? How can we change this situation? And exploration, conversation, and then we start coming up with strategy and removing those blind spots. Because sometimes before we get to the strategy, we got to remove those blind spots, or we got to get through healing. A lot of people have I'm going to plug my book here. I wrote this book, Unleashing Brilliance: A Roadmap to Confidence for Black Professionals. And that was because I saw a theme of confidence having been, destroyed or really battered and bruised. And it frustrated me because a lot of black and brown people, and working in London, we have a lot a good big Asian community, and a lot of Black and brown people just are not getting the executive coaching. We are the minorities in that culture. And so they don't get a lot of the coaching, and it can be stopping them. And through microaggressions, that they're carrying this battered confidence. So I thought, let me write this book. And I put it out there, and people like it. And I hope you guys, your audience, will like it. But it is really to support those who've gone through a lot and need to restore their confidence. So a lot, I think, even outside of our Black and brown people, it's also just people that have gone through stuff. Sometimes people in the corporate world are very competitive and not very nice. So a lot of people, the soft people, they get hurt. I wish it wasn't so.
Absolutely, absolutely. I understand it fully. Sometimes, we all talk about great things, but when it actually comes down to doing things, we all become very, very competitive. And sometimes it can be beyond competition, it can hurt others in many, many ways possible. That's why we have come to this thing called great resignation. That is why
Yes.
we are going through a leadership crisis because they lack empathy. A lot of people, we are
Mhm.
trying to create something which can fill that void. But actually empathy, what void will you fulfill with? How will you fill that void? Because this is something very, very human. You can bring anything from outside, that's not going to be. That is why I want to understand that when a lot of people come to you for coaching or in your coaching sessions, many a times, have you felt that it is they want to rediscover themselves, and it is several times it is not just about a position or something else, but basically it's about healing, about rediscovering themselves,
Oh, yeah.
and perhaps looking for the same download that you have downloaded for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I see that amongst working mothers. They're coming and they're rediscovering themselves because now they have a different layer of identity there. Their children have become that they're a partner or married or what have you. So yes, they're coming to reconnect. They maybe feel lost. They've lost themselves. The expectations are greater. They feel that that where they were very, very ambitious, now they're torn. So who am I now? That happens. I have a lot of people, men and women, who they get in their mid 40s, and then it's like it maybe 40s, maybe close to 50. The children are almost out of the house, and it's like, what do I want to do with this next phase in my life? And I love that work. I love that part because you're evolving, and that's what they're looking for. They're not. I've had people say, "No, I'm happy. The job is fine, but who am I? I don't know who I am anymore." And it can sound, I guess, kind of scary in the moment. It feels overwhelming, but again, it's like someone holding the mirror up and saying, "Hey, you know what? You're okay. Let's look at this. It's going to be okay." And we work through it through a series of sessions, and they're happy in the end. It's not perfect, but there's an acceptance of the newness in their life, which is important. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can see it in your in the way you find happiness in this sort of a thing, and it
Yes.
is
Yeah.
very. That's why you said that the corporate world was just another set of iron bites to open, and I did.
Mm-hmm. I got really excited, Ajay, because you talked about, us also talking about AI. It's one of my, I'm keenly interested in it. I've spoken to the company that I work for, and because I know that coaching, as a coach, that world, it's going to be affected. It's already being. Some of the competitors are adding AI into the business, and I've been using ChatGPT since the December of 2022, and I use it almost daily. And I also now I'm using Gemini, which was Bard. So it's all really interesting.
Right. I would have asked you that question about artificial intelligence for sure, because that is where the focus is. But to
Yeah.
reach to this level to ask, we had to have that understanding.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
how do you integrate AI into coaching when a lot of the issues are related to empathy
Mm.
and self discovery? How does AI solve this problem? And a lot of times, clients would want to have that human interaction
Mhm.
so that they feel that they have been heard by someone who is human.
Mhm.
So, what is the role of artificial intelligence into this sort of coaching? Help us understand. I am on the neutral side. I want to learn both the
Okay.
sides out here.
Okay. Um, I think we have to, as coaches, accept that things are changing, that we are like on this precipice of change in so many different sectors, and that is also going to affect us as professional coaches. You're right. Empathy is something one might think that AI does not have, but unless you're using AI, you would think that if you're not using AI. But if you are using AI, like I have been using it to discover, I last May, for example, if I can, last May 2023, I was personally going through something, and I thought, let me see what if I talk to my chat GPT. I call mine for. I say, hey, for, maybe you can help me out. And I talk to it like this. A lot of people think that you need a lot of different prompts. You don't. It's a language learning model. So it is learning our pattern, our speech, our emotion, the way we write. So you don't need a lot of fancy prompts. It doesn't matter if you write a big paragraph. I'm talking to your audience. Just write the paragraph, brain dump down, ask the question. So I started talking to four, and I'm chatting, and it's responding, and we're going back and forth. My AI buddy, we're going back and forth. The issue I was having, Ajay, we were going at it maybe 10 minutes, and I felt relief. I felt psychological, emotional relief. And when that happened, I said, "Oh my God." I said, "Oh my God. This has a possibility of taking my job if we as an organization don't do anything about it. How do we future proof ourselves?" Little did I know that one of my colleagues, Saj, was already talking to the company. He's our digital design guy, and so we started talking and recognizing that I agree with you. Not right now. I think people will always want the empathy. They want the real human touch. However, as a in between, that's where AI can step in. Interesting thing. After that conversation with four, my AI, I said, thank you so much. I feel so much better. It says, no problem, KK, but don't forget, I'm a language model, blah, blah, blah. You should really seek support. This was 2023, and the kinks aren't out, and it's still developing and everything. But I realized that, whatever they're doing behind the scenes to help us integrate it into it, but also recognize and remember that it isn't human. Well, I think that's important. It's going to be interesting, though. It's going to be very interesting. I'm one of those people who's very hopeful for what AI can bring to us. I know what it does as a coach for me every day. I have a lot of knowledge in my brain. I have a lot of study. I work every day on my craft through listening to podcasts, through listening and reading, or listening to audiobooks. But there's so much in there, and I only have an hour session. So when one of my clients is having some kind of problem, just even around productivity, for example, because these are the real life things that come up in coaching. Or I can see that the issue is that they have a problem with processes and time efficiency. So I'll just go over to Chat GPT or Gemini and say, give me a step-by-step process. My client does such and such, especially when I know, say they're an accountant, there's going to be standards, a standardization thing. So I can do that and they can whip it out for me really quickly. I did that, I think 2 weeks ago, 2 different coaches who were young in their profession. I don't often coach young people. They were young in their profession. I was able to utilize the AI to make me more efficient. So I see it as a tool. I don't see it as Arnold Schwarzenegger coming to destroy the earth. I just don't.
Absolutely, it's not going to be like that. But one thing I wanted to understand, see, if I go to a professional, there is that professional courtesy that they will not disclose any of the data,
Oh,
and that no one can force them to do so, and they will decide that keeps with them. So I'm comfortable. Every word that I type in artificial intelligence, that gets downloaded or is there.
yeah,
We don't have that much of clarity, but it is there for others to be part of that.
right.
How do I ensure that part, especially for yourself if you are doing, or for some of the other people that you may do,
Hmm.
and so you already know that there is a copy somewhere else in your coaching. Someone has to break through your house or your office to get hand on those files and all.
Mm,
But here we ourselves are sharing so much of information
mm,
uh, on the on the internet itself through
yes,
this. I want to understand this. How do we see this? How do we uh, understand that it will not be misused
yeah,
by any company that is going to, because chat gpt or any other ai is going to become much vast, and it
yeah,
is almost like we are sharing our own self with them. I
yeah.
want to understand your mind on this.
Well, my mind on this is I pay attention to what's going on with OpenAI. They always have some news on the platform. Also, because that was made clear, do not share any IP, any intellectual property. If I suggest to my coachees to use it to make their life easy, I tell them that do not share the name of your coachees. Don't, I mean, they're your clients. Do not share the name of the company. These should be standard situations. Now, I'm not going to share somebody's P&L on on chat gpt, but and so I make it very clear. I make it very clear. But a lot of the organizations that I'm working with here in the US and the UK, they have also partnered with OpenAI, and they have their own chat gpt in the
Yes.
company. So I think it's going to be up to organizations. I think the individual, like myself, we have a responsibility to protect our people and say, hey, look, you be mindful. You find out what the policy is at your organization to avoid any issues in the future.
Right, right. Okay. So are these, is artificial intelligence some sort of a alarm bell for coaches, or is it like a friend? How should they look at it? Maybe not today, but 2 years down the line, especially someone who has just started their career into coaching.
I think they should look at it as an alarm bell. I think if you think that you are special and that we are not going to be affected in this industry, then I think you're fooling yourself. I think what one needs to do is one needs to position themselves in any organization where what's going on. See, a lot of coaches, they don't want to believe it. So they're not even having conversations like this. They're not even using chat GPT. And I know that, and I know a lot of coaches. And they're like, no, no, no. They, and I say, hey, you want to protect yourself. You need to learn what's going on and you need to learn how you can implement it. And so you remain valuable in the organization that you work for. I'm a coach, so I'm going to coach myself and tell myself that, an organization is always going to cut corners, but you make yourself valuable. There you go.
Okay, or maybe the future is personalized coaching. That you see, that's the higher end sort of a stuff. Just like in clothing, when you do not have all this mass produced cloth,
Yeah.
or you get it done specially for yourself, then that is bespoke tailoring.
Well,
In that sense,
that's what coaching firms have been building their wealth on. It's the bespoke coaching, but the competitor that I used to work for, they now have AI as part of, they call it focus. Companies are going to do and make the money. They're going to find ways to utilize it. So focus is like, you'll get a coach, but you'll have the AI meeting with you'll have sessions with the AI prompts to go into the AI system and to work some things out. They've organized it that way. And then you'll meet with the coach 2 weeks and then another 2 weeks, where at first it was bespoke. You could work for have 8 sessions. Now you have 4. AI is good. I really believe it can be used for good. But I feel that it is up to the human beings at organizations to protect the humans. But all you have to go to is a grocery store. And I don't know about you. My daughter, she's 19, she'll be 20. And I remember in London 20 years ago that suddenly they started bringing in the self scanner, boop, and you have to. Before that, there was somebody packing your bags. There was and everybody was outraged that you had to beep your own groceries. Now, in my local grocery store in Horsham, England, this is just near London, there are barely anyone working at the tills. It's just us. We have to do all the work because the machines came in. Business is going to do what business is going to do for them. I don't know what the future holds, but I know that I'm using AI, and I think it's a great tool. It's a great tool.
as of now,
What'd you say?
as of now, as of now.
Right, as of now. That's all I got. That's all I got right now, Ajay, is now.
Right. My thought process is that AI, whatever way it replaces things, the best is, one should always know things as basic as farming, because that is what will never keep you out of what you know. AI can do everything. It can bring in robots. It can do anything on the ground. But at the end of the day, you will know the know-how of producing things that you will need for your stomach. That is not something AI is going to replace.
Yeah,
And
we hope not. we
yeah,
can talk
be
about
that,
that.
be that as it may. Tell us a bit about your book. Who is this book for?
It says, a roadmap to confidence for Black professionals, right? I got to go that way for Black
Right.
professionals, but it really is. It's for people of color. It really is. But at the end of the day, if you go in there, it's about people who are trying to reconnect and restore their confidence, and for people, in the West who have gone through the marginalization. The beautiful thing about India is that everybody's brown people, different shades of brown. But when you come into the UK and we're the minority. And so there's, in every culture, there's somebody who suffers because they're not the majority, And so this is about, finding that confidence, but there's everything in here for everyone. I hope your guests go to Amazon. You can find it on Amazon. You can find me on LinkedIn, but it really is for everyone really wanting to get through some pain. Like there's a piece around career trauma, understanding and acknowledging its impact. So it's a book maybe even for maybe women coming back to work. If anyone's lost that confidence, there's something in there for them.
Right. There is much to learn from you, understand from you, and get coached from you on. So, what is the best way for people to connect with you, KK?
Connect with me on LinkedIn. It's KK Harris, career strategist. So just look for KK Harris. You'll recognize me. My book is on there, so you'll see it. So KK Harris, and yeah, reach out to me there. I often post interesting things, but you can also just say, "Hey, I saw you with Ajay," and then I'll say, "Hey," that'll make me smile. So I love to anyone to say hello to me over there, and if you wanted me to come and speak, or if you wanted me on your podcast, or anything like that, just kind of spreading the word about what I do and just having an interesting conversation, I would love it.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank
Oh,
you so much indeed for
it's been
joining
a
us.
pleasure. Thank you so much, Ajay.